All right, everybody, welcome back to the layout. I have, as you've seen here, removed the building and took that track that I put in the last update of the mock-up and just kind of moved it out of the way so I can start with some scenery. Started by, trimming some scenery that needed, well, the foam, I should say, kind of notching it out here to level the track up. Right where that turnout was unlevel and it was causing some derailments, so wanted to go ahead and take care of that now. Also, this hill right here, kind of needed to taper it off into this existing part just to kind of tie it all together. So I went ahead and started doing that. Also took some spackle and things like that to fill in the cracks where we brought this foam up just to tie it all in. That is currently drying. And while that happens, I'm going to get started on weathering the building, weathering the mine itself. So just wanted to kind of take a start point here, weather the mine next, and then once this is all dry, I'm going to do the ground foam covering just to get started on the base layer of scenery in this area. So with that, we'll start there, and I'll give you some more progress as I move along in this area. All right, everybody, the spackle has dried, and I was able to put in the base layer of ground covering in. Just use some paint, and while it's all wet, I paint it, I sprinkle in the ground foam, I do the wet water, and then I seal it with the glue mixture. I do all of that in one step, so it's really easy to get a lot done quickly. Kind of tied into the existing color I already had there. Nothing special here. It's around the coal mine, so not a lot of grass, not a lot of vegetation really, taking shape here. This area really is going to get covered a lot of, by ballast and coal and cinders and all that kind of stuff. It's just going to look dirty. So this base layer really doesn't have a huge impact, I don't think, but I just wanted to make it look dirty and grimy to start with, and we'll kind of layer it from there as it all takes shape. I certainly don't want any green grass getting put down here. That's not really what's going to be happening. I will come in with bushes here and there, weeds, overgrowth in some small areas, but for the most part, it's going to kind of look like this and go from there. I do want to show you what I use, just, because I can't assume everybody watching is even in the model railroading, for that fact, or maybe newer to it, but I always like to show what I use when I can. And basically, first I come in, after everything, from the last step was dry, I come in with paint, and I just use this pre-mixed color. I got it at Home Depot, I believe. It's just a nutmeg. Really good ground cover color, I think. Nothing special there. You could probably have a paint mixed for cheaper and get more of it. Really a preference. Sometimes there's a line at the paint counter and I don't feel like dealing with it, so I just grab one of those and get out of there. I think at one point my local store had a sale of 2 of them for the price of 1, because I think they were, I don't know if they're not stocking it anymore or what, but that's what I used, and I just picked up a bunch of it and have it on hand, so that's what I do. While that's wet, I just do the ground foam, whatever ground foam you want to use, but for this area I just use the turf, the earth color fine turf. I just put it in a shaker, but I didn't need a whole lot of it, so I just bought a small bag. That gives it that good earthy brown tone that I was going for. Then I come in my wet water, which I use the same mixture I do for ballast, which is about 4 parts water, 1 part this. I just use 91% isopropyl alcohol. I'd use it for my track cleaning, things like that, so I just have it on hand. You don't need 91%, but it breaks that surface tension. Then the glue, you can use white glue, Elmer's glue. I have Mod Podge, again, from ballasting. Gosh, I mix it and I can't even remember sometimes. The same mixture I use for ballast. I actually had some in a tub, so I didn't mix it. I believe it's 3 parts water, 1 part Mod Podge. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been a while since I mixed it for ballasting. But yeah, those are what I use. I mist it with the wet water, you know, whatever mister you want to use. I have seen a lot of people, and even Woodland Scenics will say to mist the glue mixture. I haven't had much luck with that. I feel like my turf clumps up too much. I know you hit it with the wet water and it breaks the surface tension, but for me, I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. I just haven't had as good of results. So I use either a pipette, or this is just a little dropper here. You know, very slowly drop it in areas on the layout. It keeps the turf from clumping up as much. So anyway, that's how I do it. There's a million ways to do it. That's the way I do it. So I wanted to share that with you for this area. That's the method I've used for this whole layout. So I've done a lot of scenery with it, and it seems to work pretty well. So next is, you know, while this dries, I'm going to weather the building, and, you know, that's going to take some time. I'm going to end up, you know, doing a dull coat on it, then come with the powders, which I use Doc O'Brien's. I'm sure I'll mention that in the next segment. And then dull coat it again to seal everything in. So that'll be next. Long term for this scene, you know, there's a hill back here as I try to pan that the conveyor is actually going to go into. That's going to be covered with a lot more overgrowth than on this front half of the layout. I am going to have trees that go along that back edge as well. You know, right now it's winter in Ohio, and for me, super trees, that's what I use. And with the weather being what it is, they don't work very well trying to make it in this weather, but also I'm not doing super trees in my garage. It's a mess. We talked about that on the last episode. You know, shop vacuuming up some sawdust, not a huge deal, but trying to clean up after super trees, super big problem. So I'm going to wait till it's warmer to do that, so that the finished product of this scene is probably not going to happen until it's warmer out. But for now, we can move forward with the other stuff. So next is weathering the building. All right, guys, the building is weathered. Like I said in the last segment, I sprayed it with the Tester's dull coat. Came in with Doc O'Brien's weathering powders, used, you know, maybe 3 or 4 different kinds. You know, and then sprayed another layer of the dull coat on top. I think it came out pretty good. I may not be 100% done, but I think it kind of gets the idea. It's kind of hard to tell. You don't want to go too far, right? Like you want it to look dirty, but you also don't want to make it look like it's abandoned either, because this is going to be, you know, not operational as in like some of those cool ones that guys make that actually loads the coal in, but it's, you know, for the sake of the scene, it's an operational quote unquote coal mine. So I don't want it to be too messed up. Pardon my shadow here, show you the other side a little bit, but you know, just wanted to kind of make it look dirty. It's in use, you know, it's got some wear and tear to it, but it's still working. So that's kind of what I went with there. Again, when the scene, for me, I'm visual. Like I work on these scenes maybe a little unconventionally from other people, but I've kind of got to see it and place it on the layout. And then I'm like, yeah, that's good enough, or no, I need to come back and do a little bit more. So, you know, once I get the track back in, start working on the scene around it, I might say, well, that's good enough for weathering, or I might say, I need to make it a little more dirty. So that's just kind of what I went for here for now. You know, obviously coal and dirt and stuff. I figured fumes and stuff from the engines right there, and just the coal from coming out the spouts there, or whatever they're called, the chute, you know, going into the hoppers. I think that those would kind of kick up some dust and whatnot. So that's kind of what we got right now. More to come once I get some track in and start working up from the base level of scenery. Alrighty guys, work continues around Buckeye Mining Company. Got the track back in, and today I worked on ballasting. It's still drying a little bit. Went with a little darker mixture. I did, my main lines, Woodland Scenics, I use for all the ballast. I have gray blend on the mains. This is just their gray, not the gray blend, so it's a little darker, and it is a little wet, so it'll lighten up a little bit from this. But mix that with some of the cinders, just to get it a little bit of a darker ballast. Not as newly, taken care of, and it's going to be dirty. Replaced the building just to get it where I want it. Still some tweaking to do in terms of getting it nice and leveled out and where I want it. But that's pretty much what it's going to be. After this dries, I'm going to come in with the cinders or the coal, whatever. I think it's cinders ballast, but I'm using it to simulate the coal falling out and spilling in random spots. So, all around the base here is going to have some in between. I just need to kind of darken that up a little bit. So that'll probably be tomorrow. But yeah, starting to come along here. Haven't gotten any bushes or trees yet. Like I said earlier, it's winter. I like to do super trees when it's warm out, so that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But I do plan on, after the ballast, after the coal spillage, I'm going to get into some bushes and shrubs and weeds and stuff like that, just to kind of get it going from there. It'll be on that back hillside. Start to try to tie it into the backdrop a little bit. Eventually there'll be trees up here to tie into that, the cinder block backdrop there. Over here, I have this old scene, going on to the storage shelf here. I have done a million different things. I'm getting closer to what I want to do over here, but that's another update. But at some point I kind of did, excuse that post there. I did kind of have a road coming down, and then I was going to lead it to a highway going over across a bridge here. That's not going to happen, but I do want to have trucks to be able to get access up into the coal mine. So this road is going to extend and kind of come off the layout. But the entrance to it, we're just going to imagine that the main road is out here somewhere. But this is going to follow down and kind of a sharper curve here, and then come right back this way and just come off the layout. Going to do a retaining wall here. I left that as a hard edge on purpose. I just want to kind of do like a brick or a stone retaining wall, just to kind of simulate that we're kind of up in the mountains and that road's going to be coming off, from it. So that's kind of going to be happening as well in this update. So anyhow, more to come. This is kind of how it's looking right now, though. I think the weathering is looking good now that I'm kind of getting some ballast in. Kind of like I said in the last segment, that I just kind of need to see it come to life before I can really decide for sure. But right now, I think everything is starting to take shape a little bit. My mind and my eye can kind of see where it's going now. So I think we're getting there, but more to come in a little bit once I get started on a road or some bushes and some coal spillage. So more to come here soon. Alrighty guys, got some of the coal spillage put in and dried. Also put some hoppers there just to help me visually. I don't really run these on the layout. They're a little bit too old for the time period I'm using. But they work good just for some illustration to give you an idea. So that, all the ballast and all the spillage is dry. Don't know how well it's going to show up, but it is in, here, let me move these guys a little bit. It is in between there a little bit too. So that's looking good there. Also, what I've been working on now, just painted this road. I had put in the spackle, let it dry, sanded it, and just got to painting it now, so it is wet. I use spackle for pretty much all the roads that I have. Obviously this is kind of an access road. It's going to be a little bit beat up. Still going to come in with some darker patch colors, probably some black or some dark gray. And some of those, you can see some divots I left on purpose. you know, this is a beat up road. It's not a highway that's nice and smooth and concrete. This is something that's been worn out. So I will come back in with some different colors and some weathering powders once this is all dry. Might have gone a little too wide in this section here, but no worries. I can put some green paint down and you know, put some more grass and some bushes. So just kind of messing around with that. Yeah, like I mentioned, I do use spackle for all my roads. I've used drywall compound a little bit. Just didn't like, it was a little bit thinner than the spackle. Took a little longer to dry. Had to use more of it. It's perfectly fine, but I just kind of prefer the spackle. I just get the pre-made, you know, pre-mixed stuff. I don't know, 32-ounce tub. I get it at Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever. Pretty easy to work with, so I enjoy that. Next is going to be, you know, I'm going to do that road a little more detail. Going to do the retaining wall right here. I think I'm going to go with brick. I thought of either brick or stone, but I'm going to do brick for this. And kind of, this is kind of a sample here I have. I literally find pictures of brick online and try to scale it. This one's not perfect. This is just kind of a sample I use. And then I literally glue stick it to cardboard. This cardboard's, you know, is kind of thicker than what I use. I like to use the single layer. I don't know what you would call it, but much thinner cardboard. And, you know, I'm literally just going to attach it, you know, kind of like that, just to give you an idea of a retaining wall there as we're winding up the hill here. Yeah, like I said, this road over here, that's part of a different scene. It is not going to exist, at least as of right now, what I'm planning to do. But need to print off more of that brick. I do that at work. Don't tell anybody. I just don't have a printer at home, and the printers at work are really, really good. I use them for a lot of different things here and there. But anywho, that's coming. Bushes will be next as well, along that back hill, and then, you know, just some spots mixed in here and along that back side as well. So we're getting somewhere. I realize this update is longer than a usual one. Just kind of moving, maybe, I don't know, just with the busy times at work. You know, just kind of moving a little bit more towards maybe a little bit longer updates and just less of them. We'll see, but might have to pare this one down a little bit as I ramble here. But anywho, more to come here in a little bit as I continue to detail the road, work on the retaining wall, and add some bushes. Okay, the road has dried, and I've went ahead and got it weathered. Got a retaining wall put in and some bushes and some gravel along the edges. So, you know, I painted the road like a normal road or highway color, and it was just way too light. I went heavy on the powders here. I think I like it. Not sold 100%. We'll see, but it is going to be dirty. You got work trucks going up and down. You know, I know there's a shadow there, but it kind of goes around there, curves around the retaining wall, and then kind of climbs that hill. Just trying to give it more of a feel that, you know, this coal mine is up in the mountains somewhere. But yeah, went a little heavy on the powders there, but I think it looks good. Retaining wall, like I touched on earlier, is really thin cardboard. It's actually a box from a kit. I save everything. I think all of us modelers do. And printed these bricks off printers at work. Listen, I know this is not like the most detailed wall in the world. Trust me. Someday, maybe when I make it big, I tell my wife, yeah, right. I can spend more money on retaining walls, but for now, it's cardboard and white paper. So literally just took a brush, glued white glue on it, did it on both sides as well, pardon the shadow, just because it kind of sticks up on the other side a little bit there. Went ahead and did that. Again, nothing fancy, but I think it kind of gives you the visual idea. And then, yeah, gravel along the sides of the road in certain spots, maybe where there's pull-offs, you know, up there. That's just ballast, same color that I was using back along here. Just kind of tied into the side of the road, and then just clump foliage here to kind of get started on this area. I think it's coming along, and I think there's only going to be one more segment after this, and it's basically for now going to be spreading the clump foliage on this scene and on this hill, and then that's probably going to be it. So I think it's starting to take shape. Again, apologize for the longer update here, but not really a good cutoff spot in the middle of this, I didn't think. I don't know. You might beg to differ. But yeah, one more segment to go with some more clump foliage, and then we'll wrap this thing up after that. Okay, we've made it. I got clump foliage all over the place. Down on this bottom side here, and then also on the hill leading into the backdrop behind. Just green for now, you know, around the conveyor, things like that. I don't have any fall colors. I don't really like the clump foliage fall colors, to be honest, no offense, but I have used it in areas on this layout. I just don't think it looks as good. But as I mentioned earlier, no super trees yet till it warms up. You know, those are going to go on the top here for sure, but also kind of stick them in throughout these layers just to give more of a 3D look here. And when you do those super trees, you also get a lot of the smaller bushes that fall off, and I'm going to be filling in, you know, through there as well. But like I said, it's winter, only a couple more months of this, hopefully, and then we can get outside more and get to doing super trees and, you know, just enjoying nicer weather. But you know, we're kind of stuck here for now, but I think it really transformed this scene. You know, we went from some stand-in buildings that weren't, you know, very prototypical, and put this nice kit together, you know, in the last update, and now able to go from the ground up here with the scenery, getting that base layer down, getting clump foliage, getting the little access road here, a little retaining wall, things like that. So I think, you know, Buckeye Mining Company here in Martins Ferry is looking pretty good. This has been a scene that I've wanted to work on for, you know, about 1.5 years now or so, really. I was excited to do it, but just didn't have the vision yet. So I think everything's looking good here. So as always, everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you everyone that has subscribed. And if you haven't yet, I encourage you to do so. You know, I like to do these layout update videos to kind of show you what's going on. We run some trains from time to time, and we do some other random things here and there, but you know, appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you liked it as well. And always love your comments. Love hearing from each and every one of you. You always give me new ideas and encouragement to keep doing this. So thank you everyone for your continued support. More updates coming. You know, once you start getting back into working on the layout, kind of hard to stop. So I have some other things in mind coming up, probably in this area over here. Finally going to get working on that, I think. So anyway, this update's long enough. They're not usually this long, so I apologize. But if you stuck around this long, thank you. Really appreciate it. So until next time, thanks for watching. This is Jake from the Mill Valley Sub. We'll see you.